hear me? Can you hear me? I'm good?
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, it is 6 o'clock. This is the Oversight Committee for the North Northeast Housing Strategies. I am Dr. Stephen Holt and have the privilege of being the chair. I'm going to give about 5 minutes for others of our committee to join either online or in person. Aquiles, I see you. Welcome. We're going to give about 5 minutes before we get going. Again, those of you who know me, 6 o'clock is really 5:59. So we will get rolling here in just a few moments. Thank you for being present on the 14th of May, 2026.
Recording in progress.
I was just about to kick it that way. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Oversight Committee. It is good for us to be together. It is May 14th. Beautiful Thursday evening. We are in our normal locale. I'm going to pause on doing roll for the Oversight Committee, give an opportunity for a few of us to gather who've not gathered yet. Hopefully you've got a chance to look over the agenda, and for those of you who in the room, who are here with me in the room, you're able to take advantage of this wonderful bounty tonight, which is provided by Cason's
Fine meats.
Cason's Fine Meats. So the chicken, the brisket, macaroni and cheese, a little salad, some cornbread. I say that for those who did not make the meeting. Our commitment to equitable environments is to make sure that we provide meals at this meeting. Tongue in cheek to some degree, but also to say we love to see you in person. Since we've come out of the experience of COVID, presence and engagement hasn't been necessarily the same, but we're trying to create and provide the same level of investment in content because of the work that we're doing. Let me begin by just reminding us of the significance of this meeting and why we come together. We come together to address what has been probably one of the most significant land transfers in the history of our city and of our state. We come together to address families that haven't had space or place, that have lost community, that once had a place of belonging and being, that no longer have the same. We come together because this committee was forged out of mud. It came out of difficulty and difficult scenarios and situations to try to craft and form an opportunity for families who could not necessarily fight for themselves or had advocates who would stand in the gap for them. The Oversight Committee was formed to do just that, to make sure the promises that had been made became promises that were kept. And for the last 11 years, that's been our consistent focus. Some of us have been here the entire time, I being one. I've been here the entire time to relentlessly and unapologetically hold feet to the fire of those who are in positions and seats of policy setting and decision making, so that what we said we'd be is what we become. It's a great celebration to see the things that have happened, but I want folks to understand this didn't just pop overnight, and this wasn't the result of just a philanthropic opportunity. This has been concentrated work. This has been effort. This has been the intentionality of sometimes having difficult conversations. And so I remind the Oversight Committee, that's part of your role. Part of your space is to ask the questions that need to be asked and celebrate the things that should be celebrated, but to make sure we're fighting for a community that deserves great opportunity. Welcome to tonight's Oversight Committee. With that being said, I will give it over to our director.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Bonacore. I'm proud to serve as the interim director for the Portland Housing Bureau for one more day. For those of you following along in the news, I will be starting an interim director engagement at Home Forward. So I have had the privilege of working with the Portland Housing Bureau for the second time as their interim director, this time for a 6-month period during which you all heard and read a lot about the Bureau and its budget. And I think last time I gave an update, I gave a bit of an update on where we were at with that. I think what I want to leave you all with is just an affirmation from me that it has been, as it was the first time, a real privilege to work with the exceptional professionals of the Portland Housing Bureau. I got to assess the work and the fiscal management of the Bureau's resources, and I was able to explain that to Portland City Council and tell them personally the good caliber of work that the Bureau does and how well they serve the community. So if you continue to hear things about the Bureau's management of its budget or other perhaps overblown statements about it, let me assure you that, again, we have demonstrated that the management of the Bureau's resources has been done with great care and oversight, and they are lucky that as I step out the door, a really fine leader will follow in my footsteps to replace me as the interim director, and I'm excited to introduce her to you tonight, and that is Quisha Light.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I will just give you a little bit of my background so that we're all coming into this together, because large part of what I'm doing right now is learning, because I have spent basically the last almost 18 years in the utility world, so electric and water business, so not housing. It's connected, right? These things, people, water is something that can push someone out of a home. Water is something that can cause someone to become evicted and all these things. So all of the work is connected, and I'm happy to just be a part of this Bureau, to be learning, to be here with just some amazing professionals. It's been just a joy to get connected and starting to learn what the Housing Bureau is doing. And I just want to double down on what Michael said. This Bureau, just from the few days I've spent, they know what they're doing. They are committed to what they're doing, and they are passionate about what they're doing because they're trying to do it for this community. And I'm just really glad to be a part of that, to help close the gap and until we can find that more permanent person to do that work. But I'm happy to be here in it with you. And as long as I'm here with you, I will be in the work with you. So it's great to meet all of you.
Well, thanks to both of you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Into the room and into the space. I've had an opportunity to work alongside Michael in a couple of spaces. For the last decade or so, we've been kind of around each other in some of this work. And so as you're heading back to Home Forward, I would say I wish you Godspeed, and that your work will be well. Thank you, appreciate you for the time that you've been here, and we've got a chance to work more closely. Quisha, you and I met just recently, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you and working in this space. Our hope and our effort is that what we create is supportive and that it advances much of the value that Portland Housing Bureau stands for. So any comments from any of the Oversight Committee?
Check 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, welcome. And Mike, sad to see you go, but I know you're gonna go on and do some pretty good things, So keep doing what you're doing, man, and we appreciate the work you put in.
Any other comments from Oversight Committee members?
Welcome. Look forward to getting to know you.
Well, thank you very much. We will move to our first item then on our agenda, and that is the neighborhood housing preservation updates. Welcome to the table, gentlemen.
We know these two guys, don't we?
Well, good evening, Dr. Holt. Good evening, Oversight Committee members, directors, and staff. My name is John Trent. I'm with the Neighborhood Housing Preservation Manager. Before I have Ira introduce himself and go through the presentation, we're excited to be here. We're going to talk about home ownership, the numbers of folks who are first-time home buyer, going through the preference policy. Ira's also going to talk about the demographic of who bought homes, and also the goal. We have goals in terms of by the end of 2029, we want to have a certain number of home ownership through the preference policy with this program. And the final thing I know that the Oversight Committee talked about in terms of one time was difference between down payment assistance loan and down payment assistance grant, and that's with the land trust model. And so Ira's going to talk about that in terms of the wealth generation, how that works with programs and Habitat for Humanity. So with that, I'll pass it over to Ira to introduce himself and go through the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Oversight Committee members. My name's Ira Bailey with the Portland Housing Bureau. I get the privilege of working with our community partners to help support the folks in the preference policy who are looking to seek home ownership. Please also forgive me if you see me putting on and off my glasses. My eyes are like trying to decide which one is needed. So right now they're like blurry. Okay, that's better. All right. Next slide, please. So this is an updated chart of showing how many people we have tracked to date who have become first-time home buyers, as well as what resources were used to support the families that did receive subsidized housing. And when I say subsidized housing, I mean that either by direct down payment assistance loan, which allowed folks to purchase homes in the open market within the city of Portland, or monies or developments that the Portland Housing Bureau subsidized by putting money into the development. Those homes that we put money into the development also became permanently affordable. So at the end of my presentation, I'll show you kind of what the differences look like. And hopefully that'll also give you an idea of kind of what challenges or why we faced some of the challenges when we were trying to get Olin and Kenton filled, as well as ones that we might run into trying to get Alberta Alive and True North filled. These numbers are pretty much the same as they were 2 months ago, except we do have someone who's in contract right now using short-term rental or Prosper funds and is set to close on the 26th of May. So we'll have one more person ready to buy. So I'm excited about that. And as you can see, you know, when we first started, all of our resources were in interstate, but we wanted to make sure that we could support families wherever they were or wherever they wanted to buy, because we didn't want to uproot and displace families who had set up or reestablished roots. And so we have been able to set aside funding that allows people to buy throughout the city. So I'm super excited about that. Next slide, please. So of that 152, we have 122 home buyers who were subsidized. And again, that is either received down payment assistance or purchased a home that received subsidy going into the development of it. The nice thing is the preference policy is it is not a race-based program. However, it is a program to try to make right some of the wrongs that occurred years ago. The families that were displaced were primarily Black families who have been displaced. The families who have been able to help have also been primarily Black. So that's also a good thing as well. This will update once we have the homeowner close. So I try not to, count my eggs before they hatch. Next slide, please. As you can see also here, this is a breakdown of the AMIs, which again is area median income, which is a calculation established by assessing a family's household size, how many people are living in that home, as well as their annual income. But it's also a good determinant to see where people live and what their affordability is. A great thing here that you can see is most of the families are between 80 and 100 or 60 to 80 or 100% AMI, I should say, which is great. So we're helping families who don't necessarily have the income to buy on their own, but who also demonstrate that these resources that we've been able to provide are needed. And to me should be an encouragement to continue funding the resources for these families. Next slide, please. All right, so to date and where we're at, we have, the process of the preference policy for those who may be new, we have an open application period. People apply for the preference policy, that closes. We then have a period where people's points that they applied for get verified. and that point range is anywhere from 7, which is imminent. Their house was taken from eminent domain, either their house or parents' house or ancestor's house was taken by eminent domain, to 6 point, 5 point, 4 point, and so forth. So right now we have had, and after they apply, after the points are verified, they then get referred over to Portland Housing Center, who you'll be hearing from after my presentation, or our presentation, I should say. You'll hear kind of what's going on, but they get referred to Portland Housing Center for homebuyer education, counseling, and understanding what the program is and what their options are. And so we have gone through eminent domain. The last time we opened up a list, I'm just jumping all around today. I'm nervous, super nervous. Oh, thank you. So we've actually had 3 rounds of preference policy. We had one in 2015, 2016. We had one in 2019. The most recent we had was 2024. And so we've kind of gotten through the list of the previous ones, and right now we're working with families from eminent domain to 3-point households. We're actually going to be hosting Portland Housing Center and myself, I'm also a guest there, a virtual session for folks who missed the previous in-person info sessions. We'll be having that meeting next week. And then after that, we'll be scheduling an info session for the 2-point and 1-point households. That will happen at the end of July. And so that'll get us all the way through the folks who had some specific tie to Northeast Portland that actually applied and had their points verified, which will be a full pot, I think, but we'll still have space for more. And we have right now, there's 118 folks who have not been invited. That includes 68, which is the 2-point and the 1-point households. Next slide, please. And this is the fun part. All right, the difference between the DPAL, or the down payment assistance loan, and permanent affordability. So for those of who don't know, the Portland Housing Bureau offers a down payment assistance loan. Right now in the interstate, it's up to $150,000. Depending on funding, there are some requirements that reduce that amount going to down payment assistance, but that's not a bad thing. The DPAL terms are, it's a 30-year silent second loan, so it sits in second position behind the first mortgage. There are no payments. It does not accrue interest. If the home buyer stays in the home for 15 years and keeps it as their primary residence, 50% of that loan goes away. And then 3% every year after that. And then if they stay in the home the full 30, the entirety or remaining balance gets forgiven. And again, that was thanks to the support of the Oversight Committee, because there was a window of time when the DPAL was not forgivable. And so, as I mentioned, it's $150,000 in assistance. 10 to 20% of that can be awarded as a home improvement grant. So if they buy a home that needs a little bit of work, we can move the needle. It is tax increment financing, so there is a minimum of 10% that has to go to that improvement. And so in the example that I used above, I did only use the 10%. And so what I'm trying to do in this is compare kind of the equity model and what residents or home buyers actually get in between. And so with the DPAL, I used a $450,000 loan. And again, this is high level because I don't know what the taxes are. I don't know what the person's homeowner insurance is going to be. I don't know what the mortgage insurance, if any, is going to be. So it's a $450,000 loan. Down payment is $135,000, which means the buyer is borrowing $315,000 to purchase this $450,000 home. So in an assumption that the home buyer stays in that home at least 5 years, that home, I just kind of guessed the value, goes up to $510,000. So that's a $60,000 increase in the value of that home over the first 5 years. If that buyer were to sell, then the equity that they would pull out and keep in their pocket is $60,000 plus whatever they were able to pay down on the principal of that loan. So that's how the DPAL works. It's probably one of the more popular tools we have. Then we have the permanent affordability. Now, the benefit of the permanent affordability is that the dollars that go into the property get recycled for every following home buyer. So it's not anything that we're trying to cheat or devalue the first-time home buyer, but we only have so much land in the city of Portland, and so we have to make sure that what's affordable for this generation can be affordable for the next generation, and so on. And so in that, with that in mind, the same $450,000 property, if PHB puts in a subsidy of $150,000, the great thing is initially that entire 150 goes into the property because tax increment financing has a requirement that some of the money goes for sticks and bricks is what we call it. So it has to sit with the structure. That means that the sales price of that home is $300,000. If you've seen any of the marketing materials for Alberta Alive, you may have seen that the sales price right now is estimated to be around $299,000. So that's also a reason why I picked the $450,000 amount. So if that same home increased in value to $510,000, then that same $60,000, the home buyer, if they sold, would be able to walk away with an additional $15,000 in equity. So the way Proud Grounds equity model works is that the home buyer gets to keep 25% of the increase in value. So it's $15,000 plus whatever they pay down on the principal of that home. The next one is Habitat for Humanity. So about 10 years ago now, Habitat switched over to a model of permanent affordability. However, their equity model is 2% of the original sales price per year in equity. So in this case, the home is, again, $450,000. PHB puts in $150,000. That home gets sold for $300,000. 2% of that would be $6,000. So in 5 years, that is equity of $30,000 plus whatever the home buyer paid down in principal on that purchase. So that is the equity. So unfortunately, when people do look at the equity model and the equity gain, it does kind of create a competition between permanent affordability and the DPAL. However, the permanent affordability offers the ability to sell the home at a lower price. It does require a $500 down payment. There's also a discount on the property taxes because it is you own, or the home buyer owns the structure, not the dirt. So the payment in theory can be affordable or a little bit more affordable than the down payment assistance loan option would allow for. Things that can vary or impact that are also HOAs. So the Alberta Alive is going to have an HOA, for example. And then with the permanent affordability, there is a land lease, and that's kind of to help with the upkeep of the property and keep the structure and keep the community land trust going. And so right now, I think for the Alberta Alive, it's $51. So whatever their principal monthly payment and taxes is going to be, you'll have an additional $51 added to that. Plus, there's an HOA, which has not been set up yet, at least for the upcoming townhomes. So with all of that being said, that wraps up my presentation. Next slide, please. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Ira, for the presentation. Could I have gallery view, please, so I could see my committee members? I believe, Achilles, you are present. I will defer and ask if you have a question. Or did I lose you? Looks like he's gone. Miss Sheila, are you there? I can't see the names because of how small it is. Is Sheila still on? Okay, we'll come back. I'm going to go around the room. John, do you have any questions for the presentation?
Thanks, Ira. It was kind of comprehensive. I got it. I've been trying to figure this one out. for a while now, and I appreciate you putting the numbers down the way you have so I could understand a little bit better. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Ramon?
No questions.
Jesse?
Thank you
I
for talking
apologize. I
about.
couldn't get off my mute.
Well,
Chair.
you are off now, and you are in the meeting. Hi, Miss Holton.
Thank
Sheila, you
you.
can go
I
ahead. Any
apologize.
questions? It's okay.
My question was, overall, what if if the value of the property goes up, let's say $100,000, with the way the HOA is set up, and then the 151, how much, what is the typical percentage of equity will someone be able to take out if they decided to sell at 15 years?
So depending on the model, the with Proud Ground, they tend to try to get folks in homes that are below 80%. Habitat they're shooting for like 60%, 65%. Regardless of the increase in value, the equity models don't change. So with Proud Ground, if the house went up $500,000, it's still 25%. If it went up $100,000, then they're looking at $25,000 in equity that they can pull out. The HOA and the land lease amounts are just kind of a wash. Those don't get considered into the equity. With with Habitat for Humanity, it's 2% of whatever that original sales price is. So if it's originally $200,000 and it goes up to $3 million, it's $4,000 every year consistently that goes up. Plus whatever they paid in. Thank you.
So that would equal $60,000 at the end of 15?
Well, if the house was 300,000, whatever 6,000 is times 15, whatever that is, what is that? 90. So it'd be $90,000
Thank
in
you.
equity that they would acquire, plus whatever they paid in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jesse?
Just want to make sure I understand some of the differences here. So the DPOW, like the subsidy that PHB is giving in that case, is that second loan, and the market price is just set in the market. There's no way that that's under, the control of PHB. In these other cases where you're like financing, that $150,000 subsidy is going towards the development and then kind of essentially gets taken off of the market price because of the land trust model that it's being sold under.
That is correct.
Okay.
So and in most cases it's not just our subsidy. It's just whatever we would assume dollar for dollar that the sales price is going to be $150,000 or whatever our subsidy is in that unit. It's that much less than what they would be sold for on the market.
Got it. Thank you.
Just want to add, in terms of the land trust model, the home buyer is just buying the structure. So that land is owned by the nonprofit, and so it's going to be a lesser amount of price to buy that home than the down payment assistance loan, where they're buying both the structure and the land.
Thank you. That helps me understand, because when I think about the land trust model, I know that it's going to be less expensive than the market price would be if it was sold in the open market as a regular, home with the land. But understanding that the subsidy goes to the development makes a lot of sense, because it doesn't cost less to build those homes than it does outside of the land trust model. Thank you.
Ms. Vergie, I will go to you first. Any question?
No questions. Just wanted to say thank you for your presentation. I want to thank the Housing Bureau and also the Oversight Committee members, all before and current members now, for the excellent job we're doing for our community. The people who do become homeowners actually have an investment, and they can see a return on their investment. And that's, I think it's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vergie. Absolutely. Absolutely. Claudia, questions, comment?
I don't have no questions at the moment, but my mind is like brainstorming the HOA part of the program. Like, or do we, or not we, but does PHB have like a, like how are HOAs going to be, I guess, structured? Is there even any answer to that right now? I guess because my brain goes around like all the horror stories about HOA, so just trying to avoid that in these situations or in this home ownership program is something that like I have a question about.
Thank you. It is the same question I have. Can I ask about? PHB doesn't determine the HOA, but when it is determined, you can trust that I will ask, what is this HOA covering? And how it's going to be supportive. And I apologize. I want to mention something that I've gotten out of the habit of doing, and that is thanking the organizations that have also stood by PHB with the preference policy. I'll start with Portland Housing Center because they're here watching me, and I want to make sure I say that. But PCRI, Portland Community Reinvestment Initiative, they still have one or two folks who are in the preference policy that they're working with, and they've been working with those families for 10 years. And Proud Ground, Habitat for Humanity, African American Alliance for Home Ownership, Hacienda, CDC, and Native American Youth, and Family Center. All of these organizations have helped us create families through the preference policy and help us reach the numbers that we have. So I want to make sure publicly I say thank you to them as well. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is worth a clap, no question. Couple of questions. Ira or John, why would someone choose permanent affordability? Why would they choose land trust versus a DPAL?
Through the preference policy, you might want to choose permanent affordability. One, it's a brand new home, and so you'll know a lot of the things are covered that you want into it. Two, it's more affordable in theory to get into. So if you're lower income, then you would be able to say, okay, I'm going to use this as a stepping stone to get into home ownership, to get into generational wealth. It's not necessarily the most, you don't get the most back out of it in equity, but it is something that once you're in, you can start building savings. You know it's affordable. You know the payment is going to be pretty consistent over the years, so you run less of a risk of that payment jumping up and having payment shock in the next few years. It comes with a built-in community, and you don't have to go shopping around. You don't have to compete. One of the things that we found with DPALs, especially folks who are lower income and needed to buy more affordable homes, is that they started competing with each other. And so this avoids kind of all of that. So that could be a reason why you would choose that. And if you know that your income is not going to be going up, it's still stable, you can still pass it down to family if something happens. So you can still treat it like a normal home. It's just a more affordable option.
After 30 years in the permanent affordability or the land trust model, does that home remain in the family?
It can. You can pass it down after the 30 years. And just like the regular home, if you stay in your home for 30 years, you can pass that home down to the family. And that includes both Proud Ground and Habitat-owned homes.
Excellent. A little tougher question. Don't know if it's for you or if it's for Ms. Goodlow, if it's for the directors to the left. HOAs. Claudia just referred to they can go sideways. I started with kind of this opening statement that contextualized why we sit at this table and why I've been here since the inception, even prior to the initiation of the Oversight Committee. I am in the community on the regular basis, and I see people who interact who have moved either into affordable rentals or affordable home ownership. Happened to run into a community member who purchased through one of the partners and had a not great story about the HOA. As a matter of fact, the story goes like this. For 4 years, they paid into an HOA, and the HOA support group or the owner or the providers of the HOA went away with all of the money that was paid into the HOA. My question is, when there are difficulties with HOAs and or something like this, somebody's paid $48,000 into an HOA that just disappears. Are there any ongoing oversights? Is there any ongoing work? Is there any ongoing protections that we can help to levy or to weigh in on? You have to say that in the mic. Everybody couldn't hear you.
That is a great question. It's above my pay grade. So I'll let Ms. Goodlow or the wonderful two directors or John handle that one.
Okay, I'll start. I'll try to jump in a little bit. Currently, the Bureau does not have, I hate to say it like that, we don't have really any authority to regulate HOAs even for projects that we subsidize. I think we can give guidance and feedback as projects are being developed and specify concerns. So with Abby, when they come back the next time, we can talk to them about issues and concerns around HOA as a committee, and hopefully that they will take those concerns under advisement as they are putting the HOA together or selecting an organization to manage the HOA. At least in my 13 years or almost 14 years of being at the Bureau, that's been our participation. I'll put it that way. And I don't know if Michael, you want to jump in if you have anything else to add to that.
Not much other than to just say clearly we don't sort of have the regulatory tools to do anything in these situations. And I think in any case, if someone skips town in the middle of the night, I think that's that there wouldn't be a tool for us, I think, for criminal activity, which is really unfortunate. But sometimes the reality is we don't have the ability to sort of enforce or regulate some of these situations that folks find themselves in. But when we see that there are concerns like this, one tool that we have is sort of the negotiation process when we're awarding, the opportunity to develop a project, and we can ask folks to articulate, sort of their plan for an HOA or what sorts of framework they're going to put around it. So sometimes when we learn as we go, we at least figure out how we can sort of provide more of a framework in the future than we have in our current tool belt.
I appreciate that. Find myself in an interesting quandary in that the partner continues to partner with and benefit from the work that we're doing. And the effort that we have been very clear on is to provide a way that benefits community and does not harm them. And I don't know what we can do, but it's certainly something we need to look into and have conversations in regard to when a partner has built property, communities moved into the property, and then they run into these kinds of difficulties, and the partner continues to benefit from the work we're doing. That doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think it is the appropriate kind of work that we want to do, and it's certainly not the integritous work that we want to do and or see. I would imagine the partners in a similar quandary, because I'm sure they did not go into business with someone that they anticipated would then violate and skip in the middle of the night. So it's difficult on all sides, but I think it's something we need to think through and talk about. One of the things that's been wonderful about this committee is we've had difficult conversations over difficult topics, and we don't shy away from them. This is a conversation that we have to have. It's a topic we must address because there is a high potentiality that we can find ourselves in this space again. So what do we do when we have a partner who has provided housing, and now the folks who live in the housing, they're having issues with their houses and their HOA is gone? How do we address that? I don't have an answer for it, but I know that we have to address it. And again, this is a partner that is still benefiting from and participating in and working along with this process. Ms. Vergie?
I'm wondering, are you able to bond them? your partners to make sure these kind of losses are taken care of, because the homeowners shouldn't suffer. There should be a legal avenue, if it's through the Housing Bureau or the fact that they have bonding insurance to pay for losses unexpected. There should
Great
be
question.
something done.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I will say, in my role at the Water Bureau, we ran across HOA issues quite often. And at one point, I know that we had some conversations with some state representatives about how they could better be regulating HOAs, because we were dealing with some of the same things where, people pay for their water through their HOA, but the HOA wasn't paying the bill. So I know, and those conversations, we were having them regularly for a little while, and then they went away, but that is also probably something to think about. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm open to other thoughts around this. We're about to, homes are being built. People are going to move into them. There will be an HOA. Knowing what has happened, I think this is something we should be considering about what potentially can happen. I think that's part of our responsibility to consider about impacts on the future, as well as, and I don't know what we can do about the water that's been spilt, but I think that it would be great for us to have considerations for two reasons. One is these community members trusted the work of this oversight committee, purchased homes, moved into them, and now they're dealing with the struggle and the weight of being in houses that are now in disrepair and an HOA that is no longer present. That concerns me deeply. Mr. Washington.
Do we have pre-knowledge of these places where we build these houses that they're going to be an HOA?
Yes.
So, and do they have a requirement to be a part of the project also?
Anything that comes through the process of utilizing either the preference policy or DPALs or through tax increment financing, all have the expectations that have been clearly articulated, and I would even see contractually obligated that are consistent across the stream.
Well, I don't want us to, because this particular project was not funded as a development project by PHB. It was built as, so we didn't put money in on the front end. We gave people down payment assistance to buy, and so we were not involved in the development of that particular project, nor around the HOA where this particular issue is. And so the organization found buyers through the preference policy that then purchased units that they had developed like they were market rate buildings. So it'd be like, me going out and buying a townhouse on the market that's part of an HOA that PHB has no strings to because I used a DPAL to purchase. And so that's the hard part with this particular issue, is that if I give you a DPAL and you go out and buy a house that happens to have an HOA, we don't have any control over that.
No regulatory.
Right.
Right. And I think so then that addresses our concern, right? We should have a preemptive reality going into these situations to make sure that there is some regulatory responsibility within that, or we don't go. Could it be that simple?
Well, I raise it partially for two reasons. One is that we are anticipating that there's homes that are going to be purchased with an HOA. We need to be aware of the potentialities associated and how do we help put some guardrails in place. But secondly, I raise it because the scenario, while unique, that Ms. Goodlow identified, the organization still is an organization that is very engaged with the work that we do. And so, from an integrity standpoint, there's concern.
Well, I always found that deposits always solved a lot of issues, and if they want to play, they should pay. You know, in other words, put some kind of reserve somewhere that could hold them accountable, that they can get back when they don't want to play no more. Or if they decide to run away, we can utilize whatever those security deposits or whatever those things are to hold them accountable. Just a suggestion.
I like it. And I think that I'm going to ask all of us to keep pondering around it. It is a topic that I will make sure we circle back around. Thanks, gentlemen, for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ira.
Being here. Next, Portland Housing Center. Welcome to the table. Please introduce yourself and make sure your mic is green.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Christy Gifford, Preference Policy Manager at the Portland Housing Center.
Hello, thank you for having us. I'm Laura Bauer. I'm the Homeownership Program Director at Portland Housing Center.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the invitation to present today. First time here, so I'm a little bit nervous, but here we go.
We don't bite in public.
Okay, great. Okay, duly noted. Yes, so I know it's been a while since PHC has been before this committee, so I appreciate the opportunity to update you on where we stand at this point. Before we jump in, I want to thank everyone on this committee and the partners that are working very hard to help increase homeownership for families that have been affected by displacement and gentrification in North and Northeast Portland. From our perspective, working directly with clients every day, this program creates real pathways to homeownership that really wouldn't otherwise exist. So we really feel very grateful to be a part of this process. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk us through the status of our preference policy pipeline at this time, who our households are, where they stand financially, the homebuyer opportunities available to them, and the challenges that they're facing in today's market. I'm going to keep it to about 10 minutes, and I'm happy to take questions at the end. And there could be some overlap with PHB's presentation, so I'm glad to hear it was nice and thorough. So yeah, there might be just a little bit of overlap there. Next slide, please. So since 2018, PHC has helped 131 preference policy households purchase homes. The median purchase price has been $335,000, and the median time in our pre-purchase program is about 1.7 years. That timeline is important context for what I'm going to share later about our current pipeline. So I'll touch briefly on the HUD income breakdown of the homeowners to date from PHC. 72 households were below 80% AMI at the time of purchase, 40 were at 80 to 100%, and 17 above 100% AMI. 66 of those homeowners received a DPAL from PHB or Prosper Portland. And again, we're referring to the clients who went through our pipeline. So now for our current pipeline. After applicants were grouped into cohorts by the Portland Housing Bureau, which Ira just explained how that process goes, they're invited to attend a mandatory orientation session with us at PHC, and that introduces them to the home buying program and gets them registered as clients with us. The most recent application round began bringing applicants into PHC through orientations in November of 2024. And since then, we've held 14 orientation sessions in collaboration with the Housing Bureau. 162 participants have become active clients since then. We currently have 4 more orientation sessions scheduled through the end of July that will complete the applicants down to the 1-point cohort. Next slide, please. So now we'll look at who is in our current pipeline. Of our 200 active households, you'll notice that 172 of them are single adult households. So this is critical context because it's significantly harder to afford a mortgage on a single income, especially within the city of Portland. This demographic reality shapes everything else that you'll see, the timelines, the readiness levels, and the barriers. Next slide, please. This next chart shows the racial and ethnic breakdown of the active pipeline. So you'll note here that 82.5% of active participants identify as Black or African American. These numbers inform how we tailor our services and outreach to meet households where they are. Next slide, please. In our current pipeline, you'll also see that 143 of 200 households fall below 80% AMI. So this is important because the DPAL programs and the upcoming developments that Ira just talked about each have their own AMI thresholds. So the good news, many of our households qualify for assistance. The challenge, purchasing power can still be constrained by monthly affordability and existing debt, even with the DPAL. We've also found that so many of our households at these lower incomes, it can be a challenge to fully expend available funds. The income realities of our pipeline don't always align with what certain funding sources require. It's something that we're always navigating. Next slide, please. So what types of opportunities do these households have? Again, you'll see some overlap from PHB's presentation, but one of the big opportunities, as you all know, are down payment assistance loans, also known as DPALs. There are 3 buckets of DPAL funding available to preference policy clients, each with different income guidelines. The map to the left shows the Interstate Corridor Urban Renewal Area that we call ICURA for short. We just awarded 1 PHB North-Northeast DPAL, which leaves 7 more to be available. And you'll see that these are $150,000 with a home improvement grant built in. So that's the 135 that I referred to earlier. We have 1 Prosper Portland DPAL awarded to a household that's currently under contract, which he also mentioned, scheduled to close this month. So that leaves 3 more in that bucket. And finally, we have 1 SDR citywide DPAL that was just awarded, leaving 6 more of those. These are structured a little bit differently than the other DPAL in that the home improvement grant is not automatically built into those, but can be built in. Next slide, please. And beyond the down payment assistance loans, there are the 3 developments that were just talked about that are in the pipeline. So we have the Williams and Russell townhomes, the Alberta Alive condominiums, and True North, which is formerly Cary Boulevard. You'll notice that the DPAL can be used to purchase the Williams and Russell townhomes. The Alberta Alive condominiums and the True North development each have PHB funding already built in to their permanently affordable models, so that DPAL cannot be used towards those properties. The first 2 are currently under construction, with True North to follow. I also want to correct the AMI for True North. It's actually going to be available for households between 35% to 80%. So that's going to be really helpful because you'll see it'll address some of the gaps. All in all, there will be 78 new homes available exclusively to preference policy clients, in addition to the homes on the market. So we at PHC continue to meet regularly with the partners involved in the developments to coordinate community engagement events and referrals, and also to gather information about the developments to share with our clients. Next slide, please. So where does the current pipeline currently stand? The majority of our households are actively working towards mortgage readiness, but most aren't there yet. So here's what that looks like. 7 households mortgage ready today. 9 are near term at 0 to 3 months. 5 are short term at 3 to 6 months. 31 are long term at 6 to 12 months. And 125 are 12 plus months out. You'll also notice that 23 are unknown. These are folks that just haven't met with a counselor yet, so we haven't had a chance to formally assess their income and their mortgage readiness. So remember earlier when I talked about the median time. So the median time in the program for past preference policy homebuyers was 1.7 years. If we look at when the current round started in November of 2024, 1.7 years takes us to about June of 2026. So we're right on track with what we've seen in the past. Now, we anticipate timelines may extend further due to some barriers that I'll talk about later in the presentation. Next slide, please. We're excited to share that buyers are actively engaging and movement is happening. So like I mentioned earlier, we have one under contract with the Prosper Portland DPAL, one client actively shopping who is over income for DPAL but still a preference policy client, one Northeast ICURA DPAL that was just awarded this week to a client who is now out shopping, and one SDR DPAL award that was also awarded this week to a separate client. And we have 3 clients who are waiting for their personal timelines to seek pre-approvals. Next slide, please. So we also want to be transparent about what's making this harder. What we're seeing is not a lack of engagement. It's the time that it takes for buyers to become financially ready in today's environment. For one, there's time needed to become mortgage ready. So buyers are actively working on income, debt, and credit, and many are learning and practicing financial skills for the very first time. There are also increases in everyday cost that are reducing the ability to save and can increase a household's debt. Interest rates have also increased, so higher rates affect monthly payment affordability. The DPAL helps immensely, but market rates are beyond our control, of course. So this can push out readiness timelines in ways that we didn't see with previous rounds. And finally, buyer caution is real. The current political and economic environment is making some buyers a little bit more hesitant to make larger purchases like buying a home. So the bottom line is that buyers are progressing, but financial capacity and market conditions are extending some timelines. The support structure is there, and the market headwinds are also very real. Next slide, please. I want to thank you for your time today. We're very excited. The pipeline is active. Our households are engaged. They're excited. And we're, just all working through the realities of today's market together with our clients, our partners, the help of you all. We greatly appreciate it, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. Very well done. Could I have gallery view again? So I could see the Oversight Committee. Ms. Holden, Ms. Sheila, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any question or comment?
I'm excited about the presentation and where we are, but I do have a question as it relates to 3 months versus 6 months versus a year. When it's a three-month deal, is it just them getting together their final package for financing, or what's the 3 month versus a 6 month?
That's a great question. And really, these timelines are all relative. So they could have anything to do with someone who is currently paying down debt, someone who is currently, saving more for closing cost and or down payment. It could have anything to do from settling a debt in collections, increasing their credit scores. It's any of the things that really make someone mortgage ready. Sometimes it's just their personal timeline. Sometimes people are financially in a very good position, but they're just not quite mentally ready yet. And we want to make sure that we're moving at people's comfort level and speed. Did that answer the question?
Yes. So it varies from applicant to applicant.
Yes, yes. I wish it was a more kind of linear, concrete response.
Thank you very much. Mr. Washington.
I don't exactly have a question, but I got a comment. Was that your nervous?
Yes.
Because I hate to see you when you're serious. Girl, you ran through this shit thing so fast. And thorough, too. The information, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Indeed. Ramon.
No questions.
Excellent. Jesse?
When you talked about the opportunities that are DPAL eligible versus not, I know that there's also lots of like proud ground homes, for example, out there that are not subsidized by PHB. Are those potentially eligible for someone to apply a DPAL towards, or?
My understanding is that all Proud Ground is a community land trust, and the community land trust in general has the PHB funding within it.
Okay.
So basically, no, you can't use a DPAL towards a CLT model.
Got it. Okay.
So I'll just clarify
Yeah.
just quickly. So Proud Ground does buy properties on the market that we don't put money into. So whether or not we would apply I know we have done, where's Ira? Have we done any, have we allowed DPALs for people to buy a Proud Ground like off the market? Because I see Proud Ground houses all the time on the market that are not part of a project, because I know they buy scattered sites.
The chair. Here you go.
So it's interesting with Proud Ground. If a home buyer uses the DPAL or is awarded a DPAL and buys an existing Proud Ground home, that has not happened yet because the idea is that the Proud Ground home is already affordable. However, if a buyer were to use a DPAL with Proud Ground and then buy on the open market, that DPAL gets converted to permanent subsidy in that home. So in the example, if for example, a home buyer used a $150,000 DPAL through Proud Ground, bought a home, it became part of the land trust, that $150,000 would never be seen again by that home buyer. So it would act as a non-forgivable loan because that subsidy stays in the home.
Got it. Complicated answer. Thank you. I was wondering
Thanks,
if that
Ira.
was like a, opportunity for double affordability essentially with like the Proud Ground or just CLT model and then down payment assistance, because, even the CLT model doesn't mean it's affordable for everyone. So thank you.
Sure. No, thank you for that question, because that gave me clarification too.
We all learned a little bit. Claudia, question, comment?
I just have a comment. Thank you for acknowledging the times we're in financially for folks, especially during times when they want to reach the goal of buying homes. And so it's nice to see that you guys put together these barriers that we're facing, which is reality. So thank you.
Yeah, well done. Ms. Virgin?
No questions.
Well, thank you, ladies, for the presentation. Thank you for coming tonight. We're all better because of it. Thanks for your work, too. Significant work. Shout out to the ED Executive Director, Ms. Dana. Hey.
Thank you so much.
PHB fam.
Yeah. Yeah. We can clap. We can clap, we can smile, we can laugh. We can do all of those wonderful things. Ms. Goodlow, I believe you are next with a preference policy.
Yes, and I'm going to call up Antoinette and Aurelia to help me with part of my presentation. So the first thing I wanted to, you guys, you have a memo in your packet that I'm going to talk you through. So I believe everyone is aware that we had a program. It was originally called Security Deposit Pilot, and then we changed it to the Moving Assistance Pilot Program to try to get better engagement around, because a lot of buildings don't charge security deposits, and it wasn't being used because, like, oh, we don't charge security deposits, but it could be used for other things. So as of May 1st, I think I sent everyone an email a few weeks ago saying we were going to be shutting the program down, winding the program down for the rest of this year. And so we have assisted 39 households who moved into Albina 1. And then within the last couple of weeks, as we were doing the closeout, there were 12 households that moved into Albina 1 that were at risk of eviction. And so we worked with United Way and AVT, and we cleared, we used these funds to clear $27,000 worth of outstanding balances to keep those 12 families from being evicted. We have 11 applications for folks moving into M. Carter Commons that will each get up to $1,000 for their moving expenses. And then just after the deadline, we received 27 applications for folks moving into Strong. Unfortunately, we only have $7,700 left. And so instead of trying to choose 8 households to use the $7,700, we decided to distribute the remaining funds across the 27 households, and they'll each get a rent credit of $285. At this point, we're not renewing the program for the next fiscal year. We are going to be working on analysis and review of what worked, what didn't work, how could we make this program work in the way that we wanted it to work. We helped a lot of families, but not in the way that we hoped to help them. We wanted to help people with moving expenses, pre-moving into their new unit. So trucks and boxes, and if they needed childcare and security deposits or paying an old light bill so that they're able to transfer to the new unit or whatever those things were. And it just never really took off that way. And so we ended up doing a lot of rent credits. And as I said, we spent $27,000 clearing, evictions for 12 families that will not end up, in court or potentially homeless. So we're very proud of being able to do that. And so we will be evaluating the program over the next year and make decisions about whether to bring it back in the following fiscal year. And then next, the preference policy update, and I'll have my partners in crime here introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Antoinette Pietka. I'm the Strategic Analytics Manager at the Housing Bureau, and I came and spoke with you just, I think, a couple of months ago about the work that we're doing to move the preference policy waitlist management from Excel spreadsheets into a database system.
Hi. Oh, I'm going to have to get a little bit closer. I'm Aurelia. Ooh, that was too close. Sorry, guys. I'm Aurelia Moran. I'm a business systems analyst on the strategic analytics team. I work with Antoinette, and I'll be walking through a couple slides to show you guys the system that we're migrating the waitlist into.
All right. Before we do that, I just wanted to give you a little information. We have made significant progress in transitioning preference policy data from Excel spreadsheets into community services, and I am oh so happy. I can't even tell you how happy I am about this. We most recently did data entry that got us updated through April 14th, 2026. We'll be pulling, or I say Aurelia, not me, we'll be pulling any applications that have come in between April 14th and sometime next week. We'll pick a day, and then we'll be able to do this on a rolling basis, do that data entry into community services. The transition has already improved my ability while Divisha is out to pull referral lists for partners when they need a new list. I recently pulled a list for Albina Vision Trust for the Paramount. They had a couple vacancies there. And then Central City Concern for Charlotte B. Rutherford. I just got a request from Strong and from M. Carter Commons that they need new lists, so we'll be able to generate new lists based on the unit size that people are looking for. And then the next phase of implementation, we'll be working on report creation. They will be working on report creation. I'm not doing it. And they're doing a heck of a job. And then working on how we can include the disposition information that comes back from our development partners. We want to be able to improve tracking, reporting, and transparency before we move to the next phase, which would be integrating our development partners and giving them the access to the system to be able to do their own disposition work. And, you know, we're looking forward to being able to do that. But right now, we really want to try to analyze this disposition data as it comes in and how we can use it. And then quality assurance surveys of the team reaching out to folks when we get those lists back, to be able to call people or email people that our partners have said that they've contacted. We want to make sure that yes, they were contacted, or no, they decided they didn't want to, or whatever happened, so we get better data about what's actually happening with the applicants. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Aurelia and Antoinette to give you a little demo.
Yeah, and just a quick question. When Leslie says disposition data, does that... Yeah.
That is. So disposition is, so if I send a list and it's got all of your names on it to Dr. Holt, he's the leasing agent, and he'll send me back a list that says, I talked to Claudia, she's filling out an application, we called Angel 14 times and he didn't answer the phone, take him off the list. Miss Virgie's looking for a 4-bedroom. We don't have 4 bedrooms. John says, I'm looking for a studio, but that rent is too high. Ramon said, you know, so that's the information that we're talking about in the disposition. And so we get a lot of information back, and we're trying to figure out how we can use that better to improve what we're doing. So thank you, Miss Antoinette.
Well, then you guys will have to take my word for it of what I'm looking at, or I can just speak a little bit at a high level and we can follow up with some slides with screenshots from the system. But the system we migrated, or we're now using to generate housing referral lists and to manage the preference policy wait list is called Community Services. It's a client information system that the Bureau is currently using to do contract data collection. The team uses it currently to record their calls. And for the wait list, we're building client profiles that can capture the volume keeps changing, so I keep changing my volume. So I'll get better. I'll get better at the microphone with practice.
Consistent.
And so, there we go. Yeah. So WellSky is the vendor that makes or supports community services. And so could you go to the, interrupt. Next slide, please. Ooh, that's the yelling again. Yeah, so the system has a number of modules. I talked a little bit about call tracking, which is something the preference policy team and the rental services office currently use it for, to capture data on calls taken with community. For the wait list, we're building client records. If you could go to the next slide. The system allows you to search for client records, so as we do this transition, you kind of type in someone's name. Leslie got to do a bit of the data entry herself. And I will say, Ms. Virgie probably has the most experience of everyone in this room in the system, which when it was Service Point was something she worked with quite a bit. So it's the same system that Sun School data used to go into. So if it looks familiar, that's why. And so you can search, as we work from the application portal data and search for clients within the system, you can build a new client record, which if you go to the next slide, it's very tiny here, but what you're seeing on the screen here is called an assessment in the system, and it allows you to capture date of birth, phone number, mailing address, email, the point cohort, as well as unit preference, and the other information, household size that's a part of the housing referral. And so we've been able to build client records and entries to generate a wait list and housing referral from the system.
Mm-hmm. And important takeaway here is that, again, like it's a web-based system, but it's very secure. It's the same system that we used in the past for our homeless management information system, and you can see every time a person touches a client record, there's a history. So all of that is tracked. And while we keep on talking about like data being migrated and entered, I do need to acknowledge that is working in client files. And so again, like Aurelia's entered in several hundreds of people at this point. Leslie entered in. I think I did 20.
It's enough to get a feel for it, right?
Yeah. So again, like this has been, it's very much been a labor of love to move it into a good, secure database systems.
Yeah, and it provides great, a lot cleaner data management for the rolling wait list. So when people update information, to move that application portal data into a system. And then, because although Devisha isn't here, I've started to build, if you go to the next slide, what should look a little bit like what Devisha often shares at these meetings in that top image, that those bars are different point cohorts with the number of people in the wait list in that cohort. And so we will be able to generate those same summary reports that come to these meetings from the system as well. It's a business objects reporting. It's a query-based platform, so it lets you sort of, you can build basic charts and tables from it.
And then the last thing, I think I mentioned quality assurance surveys, but we are also going to try to integrate that into the system someplace, so we have that information with the client data as well. So we'll be able to tell people that we've done QA surveys with and be able to pull reports on that as well.
Well, let's give you a hand first before we say anything else. Well, nice.
I win most.
It's been a long time coming, and many of the partners have expressed frustration, so I appreciate the work that has gotten to this point. Are there any comments or questions from our committee? And I will start with our people who are remote. Aquiles, I see that you're back. Hello, sir.
Sorry, I lost track over here of the connection, but I'm back.
Excellent. Good to see you. Miss Sheila, any comment or question? Did we lose?
No.
Okay. All right. That mute button. Mr. Washington.
How much time is it taking you to input per client?
I would say maybe a couple minutes at most.
A couple minutes at most, really? And is all the stuff that small that we saw it? Did you have to scrint that?
No, thankfully no.
No, it's kind of bigger. You can do input, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you got something that can populate, that at the end you can bring some stuff forward and you don't have to keep going back and looking and so forth and so on. So I appreciate that. Yeah, and I know the work is tedious doing the input, so. But once you get it done, right, you're ahead of the game. So congratulations, huh? Yeah.
Ramon, comment, question?
I just echo what Mr. Washington just said. I know it's a lot of heavy lifting on this front end, and I know a lot of people are appreciating you guys, especially the partners.
Yeah, thank you. Jesse?
2 quick questions for y'all, and this might be for you as well, Leslie. Is there any sort of like ROI that folks will sign just to kind of, authorize the use of their information in whatever way? Is that like a part of the process, or?
When they sign up,
Okay.
when they fill out the application, they agree to have their information shared. So that's on the front end.
Awesome. Thank you. And then second question, I'm curious if, as y'all have gone through this process, you've thought of new ways to use this data that you wouldn't have had access to previously.
At this point, I'm just trying to use it for what it was intended and not on 42 spreadsheets that, and thank God for Devisha that she was able to manage all of those spreadsheets. But at this point, I'm just happy that we've got good data, that the team, I can email Wendy and say, hey, I need a new list. She sent me one the other day. And so now I can pull a list for M. Carter Commons. I can sort for people that are over 55. For Strong, they've got, I think, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, so I can pull them a new list since they got their last list of everybody that's applied. And we average about 100 people a month that apply, and some of those people are repeats. So this enables us to be much quicker in finding duplicates with folks being in the system. And the only other thing that I want to add is that we're hoping to eventually, this is my wish list, my magic list that I gave to Antoinette and Aurelia the other day, is that we can automate a little bit better, people being able to update their information without having to do a new application. So whether it's a QR code or a smart sheet that people can get to from the website, but that, I mean, when I sent out the last email, so when I get a request for a list, and I pull the list, I email all of those people and say, hey, Jesse and Ramon and John, I'm sending your name over to AVT. They've got a vacancy at Paramount. Here's the rent amount. Here's the bedroom size, blah, blah, blah. And so I get lots of emails back saying, hey, I already got an apartment, or here's my new phone number, or here's my, and so this will make it easier. So as I get those back, I can go into the system and update phone numbers, or if we get bounce backs on emails, I can go in and edit those or take them out. So this will make that a lot easier, but also for us to have a way for people to just say, oh, I'm getting a new phone number, or I got a new phone number, let me go onto the website, and then we can track that a little bit better.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
I don't really have no question other than it looks like it's going to be WellSky, the software you guys are using. Is there other like housing bureaus around the country or the state that use, like, how did you guys come up with this one specifically, I guess? Was there like a model already in place that you guys followed behind?
Yeah, we already had a contract with WellSky, and we were using the system as part of HMI, as part of a homeless management information system. That transferred to the county, and so now we're free to use community services and WellSky more as just like a client information system,
Ms. Virgie, comment, question?
No questions, just thank you for what you do. Sounds like a great program.
Thanks very much for the update.
Hey, hold on. Let me ask one last question before you leave. Let me get one last. Now, does everyone have access to the system, or is it security oriented that each person has an access point that's private that you can track who goes in and out, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's online and offline, right? Yeah.
Right. We can see when people log in. We can also see like what they look at when they're in the system as well.
That's great, because you need a security system in this, and as broad as this is going to be, I think it would be best. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Strong Empowerment Village. If you have been on Williams and Alberta recently, you notice that there is an incredible building that is on the west side of Williams and the south side of Alberta. Some of you know that I grew up right across the street from that place and knew the Strongs and several other families that lived on Williams. We lived on Williams and Wygant. They lived on Williams and Alberta. And so this is significant to see for me and very significant for my friend Mark and his family. So, Strong Empowerment Village. Is that our...
I think Lucy's on.
Is everyone online tonight?
I am here. I think I'm going to be the only one presenting this evening. Can you all hear me?
We can. It's in your hands.
Excellent. Thank you all. My name is Lucy Corbett. I am the Senior Development Manager from Community Development Partners, and I'm pleased to be back to present on the Strong Empowerment Village, the full name of which is the Luther Strong Jr. and Dr. Jackie Strong Empowerment Village. And CDP is a co-developer, co-owner with Self-Enhancement Inc. SEI was not able to be here tonight, so I'm going to lead the presentation. Next slide, please. So our team with this development, as I noted, was CDP, as the lead developer and SCI as the co-developer. SCI is providing resident services for the project. Our general contractor is Colas Construction, the architect is Holst Architecture, and our property manager is Guardian. Next slide. So we were asked to come and present on the construction status and some lease-up information. We've been presenting about this project for the last few years, so it's exciting to actually be able to show you a real picture of the building, so you can see that here. We received our temporary certificate of occupancy on March 26th, our final certificate of occupancy on May 4th. The building has 75 units broken down between 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Also has significant community space. So we've got a community room, we've got a kids community room, we've got a couple different lobbies, courtyard, and then your typical kind of bike rooms and other offices for our property management and resident service staff. Our MWESB stats, we ended the project at almost 41% participation with MWESB firms exceeding our 35% commitment. That was on the contracting side, and then on the design side, we were at 78% participation. Next slide. So just wanted to give a few more images of the completed building and talk a little bit about what we're still working on. The building is open to residents, and residents have been moving in, but we've been wrapping up final details, which includes a lot of our art. So the art is still underway, but you can get a little bit of a snapshot here of one of our exterior murals. That one in the upper right-hand corner is going to wrap around the northwest corner of the building and includes some members of the Strong family. We have another mural going in on the southeast corner. That's going to go in the week after next. And then we have just some shots of the lobby, and one of the major commissioned pieces that we have there, which also includes members of the Strong family. The courtyard, and then that kids flex room is shown there. We're still working on getting the final art pieces installed there. Next slide. A reminder about just the affordability levels here. So we have units ranging from 30 to 45% AMI. This was originally 30 to 60% AMI, with the majority of units at 60%, but we have been working with PHB and Metro to reduce the 60% AMI units down to 45% AMI. So you can see what those rent levels are. And then just noting that we do have a significant number of family units here, expecting a good number of children. So next slide. And then our lease up. So our lease up began several months ago. Move-ins began in mid-April. And right now the building is 39% occupied. We have 8% of units that are approved but have not yet moved in. Another 44% are in some stage of the application process, either waiting for their all their documents to be approved by the third-party verification, or we're waiting on them to bring back documents that we've requested for them to move forward. And then 9% of units still unassigned. That's the 4 2-bedrooms, 3 3-bedrooms. And as Leslie noted earlier, we have requested an updated list of new names so that we can continue to market the property. We've been offering a month of free rent and PHB moving assistance funds. I did hear that update from Leslie tonight, so I had not heard that from Guardian, our property manager, so I want to make sure that they're aware that.
They'll get, Lucy, sorry. I forgot that you were on the call when I said that. You guys will get official notification with the names of the people and the rent credits for those.
Okay. Great. Yeah, so I will make sure that they know that that pool of funds is now depleted, so we don't continue to offer that. We've also been offering gift cards to just incentivize folks to show up for their appointments, and have been encouraged by the interest in that first month of move-ins. Next slide. And then we just have a little bit of information about the services that SCI is providing, both initially during lease up and then on an ongoing basis. So they do have a resident services coordinator on site. It's a snapshot here of their office, showing their hours, showing their first event, which is going to be a fish fry, I think in a few weeks. They, during the lease-up process, have just been reaching out to folks as they move in to get to know them, providing welcome bags with various kind of supplies for an apartment, and letting them know about the services that they can provide on-site and also help them with in terms of connecting them through referrals and the other many services that SCI offers off-site. Next slide. And then ongoing services, SCI offers youth and child services through their center, which is very close to this building, family and parenting support, referrals for employment services. They offer rent assistance and utility assistance. They do offer on-site case management and helping people resolve issues that could potentially lead to eviction, and helping them get ahead of those types of issues, financial counseling. So diversity of services that they'll be providing ongoing at the building. Next slide. And the next couple slides are actually slides we've presented in the past, just talking about who SCI is, who CDP is, and then a little bit about the housing strategy. So I wasn't planning to go over those too much unless there's specific questions about that. But just noting on this slide, all of the units in this project are coming to us through the preference policy and subject to the policy. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. First of all, we can put our hands together. It's great that the building is done. How many folks have driven by? Anybody? It's a beautiful spot. Looks really, really honoring to families and community. So thank you very much. We will defer, first of all, to our online community. Angel, any question or comment? Aquiles, I'm sorry. Angel sitting over here to my right. You've been on my mind, so I apologize for that. Aquiles.
How many parking spaces does the building have?
Gosh, I should have anticipated that. I think we have around, if I recall correctly, 33 to 36. I have to check on the final number, but it's in the 30s.
Well, it doesn't seem like there was enough room for so many parking. I'm surprised. And how many of all the people that are there have kids that are families? I'm just thinking of the proximity to the schools that are there,
Yeah.
Jefferson High School, the other one.
That demographic I do not have. I do have the breakdown of racial demographics of residents that are currently occupying, but I don't know the number of children, so I could get back to you with that stat.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ms. Sheila, any question? Ms. Sheila, just jump in when you need to. John, go ahead.
You know, I was looking at the lease-up status, right? And can you tell me what that 7 units unassigned mean?
That means that we don't yet have an applicant for that unit yet. So if they're in a pending status, usually they've been assigned a unit and they're just working the application to make sure that they actually qualify. But we have 7 units that are still unclaimed, essentially.
And they are duplicates though, right? You know, I noticed that the only thing that changes on the types of apartments is the AMI, right? And that makes the difference in the amount of the rent, because there's quite a big difference between those, the 45 and the 30 AMI.
Right. We do have each unit type available at both 30% AMI and 45% AMI.
Okay. I'm just wondering where the numbers are coming, because you got these 7 units just out there, and you got other ones occupied, approved, pending verification, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. What do they just sit there until you get an applicant?
Yeah. So that's part of we've been contacting everyone we've received so far through the lists we've received from PHB, and so we're at the point where we're needing to request more names. So we've gotten a lot of interest and we have a lot of people in process, but we still have, you know, units that are vacant and unassigned, and so.
Yeah, so does these 7 units fall into the 9% unrented?
It's 9% unrented, which is equivalent to 7 units.
That's the 7 units you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Ramon?
No questions. Just congrats on this 3rd Alberta Alive project of yours.
Yeah. Jesse?
Yeah, again, congratulations. I'm really excited to see how affordable this property is. I don't think I realized that was going to be the case, and I'm really stoked to see that. I'm also glad that there's so many services on site, and I'm wondering if you could talk me through what the journey would look like for someone who moves in and, you know, gets access to all these services and has the ability to really stabilize and even start building income, wealth, etc. Are they able to stay in their home, and how long? How does that change as someone's income grows as they move into this property?
I can do my best. I wish SCI were here because they'd have, I'm sure, a better answer for you. But I do know that as people move in, I believe you, and maybe some of the PHB staff may be able to verify this, I think you can stay in a unit until your income is maybe 150% of AMI. So for these folks moving into units at 30 and 45% AMI, it would allow them a significant increase in income before they may have to move out.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm also curious if there's any intentional connection to homeownership services through what the services that SEI is providing, but that might be a question for them. So happy to wait till they're here next.
Thanks, Jesse. Claudia?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Virgie.
I appreciate the report and it seems like you just got started not too long ago. And now you're actually almost have the place rented out and families are in there and it's looking really exciting for this facility and what the work that's been done there. Thank you to STI, to your agency, what you've done, and again, to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The deep affordability is a big deal, and that's something worth celebrating. It speaks again to the significance of the preference policy and the value associated with the preference policy and the work to ensure that the families who've been most hard hit and or displaced are also getting an opportunity to benefit from the project. One of the questions I didn't ask, or one of the things I didn't say to PHC when they were talking about the time frame it takes for people to get mortgage ready. Part of our mortgage ready impact is the fact that communities of color don't generate the revenue that the other communities are generating here in the city. And therefore, we've got to be very intentional to create opportunities to help stabilize families for the future. I love the idea that someone could come into a 45% unit, be able to grow economically, and in their own skill or capacity or whatever they might be, and be able to become mortgage ready at the same time. That's pretty exciting. Ms. Goodlow.
Lucy, couple questions. How did the laundry situation end up? Did you have one laundry room? Is there one on every floor? What was the deal?
One on every floor.
Okay. And did you all end up doing the card machines or coin machines or both?
I know we have the cards. And we have a reloadable kiosk in the kind of main mail entry room so people can get their card and load it up.
Okay.
And then, but they may be coin as well, but I know they're card for sure.
Okay. And then recycling, is that all on the first floor or is that on multiple floors?
Trash and recycling, we have trash and recycling rooms on every floor, and then they do get taken down by the maintenance tech to the main floor for, pickup each week.
Okay. And then one of my last questions, packages and deliveries, like Amazon and groceries.
So we have a parcel room there, which is something we've started to go to because of the issues that we've seen at our properties with these lockers and the delivery service is not really using the lockers. So the way that it works at this property is that those vendors are given just key access at certain times of day, not all hours, and they place the parcels in a secure access parcel room that has a camera, and then people are notified of a delivery just like anyone would be directly from the delivery vendor.
Okay, and then my last question, I know I got a request for a list. Could you send me the detail for the AMI for each of the units that's still vacant? And so that I can send that out when I send you the list, I can send that to the people, the applicants, to let them know what's available?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mario.
I just want to acknowledge the finance and accounting team that they were essential to find the dollars needed to decrease the affordability from 60% to 45% AMI. And that took like a couple of months.
Absolutely. One comment for me, many of the questions I was going to ask, Ms. Goodlow, you covered. Guardian and the use of Guardian. I've gotten some feedback around that there have been some challenges. Are you aware of those, and how are you mitigating them?
Sure, I'm aware of specifically what you're referring to, but we have been using Guardian across all of our, well, the majority of our properties in Oregon, we use Guardian, but we do use them specifically at the other Alberta Alive properties that we've co-developed with SCI, and so they're aware, you know, of the partnership there, and are in some cases, not at this property because it's larger, but a couple of those properties are smaller, they share staff. So I'm not specifically aware of the strong related concerns.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll have some, I'll take it offline and make sure that I give you good details so that we can have conversations around strategies for mitigation. Thank you so much for your presentation tonight.
Thank you. And one thing I failed to mention, but I did want to add, is that we do have a grand opening coming up, and we'll do have all the Oversight Committee members on the list to attend. So.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We are going to go to our communications update. And as you're sitting down, Gwen, we don't have any public comment tonight, do we, Norma? No. Perfect. Our communications update, Miss Gwen Thompson. Hi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Gwen Thompson. It's just really great to see you. I serve as your comms and community engagement strategist. Hello, committee. Hello, directors. So I am really happy to be back. I've been gone for almost 2 months. It's just lovely to see everybody here. Yeah,
it's good to see you, too.
I didn't tell you. I'll let you know. So to start, next slide. I wanted to mention that our spring newsletter will be published in June and share some details about the newsletter. So some of the items that we will be discussing in the newsletter and connecting with the community on is the Strong Grant opening, and we just heard so much about that. So we're looking forward to the grand opening, and I believe the date is June 23rd. It's nice that we no longer have to refer to it as just a Strong property. Now it has a name, Strong Empowerment Village. I really like that. Another item for the newsletter is the annual report. So we will provide a brief summary and a link to the actual report for the community to be able to read and access it. Some of the activities that we'll be reporting out on is the Rose Festival. We'll share photos from our outreach team engaging with the community at Rose Festival. Abbey Townhomes will also be featured in the newsletter. It is currently under construction, and IRA is referring families to Proud Ground.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
The I-5 closure. We're going to put a blurb in there about that.
Add it. Wow. I'm curious.
Aren't we all?
Okay, noted. Next, we've got PHC's 35th anniversary will be featured there. I will be interviewing Dana and Christy. So I'm looking forward to learning all about the rebrand. And I'm not sharing anything, Christy, but Dana did tell me a couple things. Okay. Also, we'll be noting that Ms. Leslie Goodlow received an appointment to the State of Oregon's Racial Justice Council, Housing and Homelessness Committee.
She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
Congratulations, Leslie. Ms. Leslie's term began on May 1st and continues through April 2027. Next, we'll be mentioning Cary Boulevard. I'll be accessing some of the news items that are worthy there and making sure that the community is abreast of any updates related to Cary Boulevard. And lastly, M. Carter Commons. They achieved TCO, is my understanding. So congratulations to M. Carter Commons. We'll be finding out when their grand opening is, TBD. and we will be referring folks, of course, who are over 55. Some updates that will be in the newsletter will be NHP's updates as well as preference policies updates, and Leslie will be doing the write-up for those. So we'll have our typical calendar connecting the community to any kinds of events and important things that they might want to either attend or stay abreast of. And outside of my report on the North Northeast newsletter, I just wanted to mention some of the folks on our team, our outreach team, who have been working really diligently. Currently, there's so many events all over town. As soon as it warms up, there's events everywhere. And I just wanted to share with the committee that our team gets really excited about the opportunity to get out of the office, to take some swag, share things with the community, and talk about the wonderful programs at PHB, including, of course, the preference policy. So those team members include John, who you hear from quite often when you're here.
I just want to say that John is the first one to volunteer for any outreach events. He will go and he represents PHB. He just always like, I'll go, I'll do it. And
He really does.
He's great. So thank you, John.
For sure. And then we've got Molly, there's Bev, there is Kira, Divisha, Hodo, and Joanne. So great job for the outreach team, and it's an honor for me to lead that effort.
Great job for you. Thank you so much. I say it on a regular basis. I appreciate your efforts in this space. This work for a long time was not getting the kind of publicity, marketing, or communication that is so deserved around what we've done and who benefits from it. So thanks, Gwen, for being just a champion in this space. Ms. Goodlow.
You're welcome.
So last but not least, our 2025 annual report is like 99% completed. We've sent final edits to the graphic design team, and so it will be going to print probably next week. And our report, I just found out today, DCA Oliveira has talked with Councilor Avalos, who's the chair of that Housing and Permitting Committee. They changed their name. And we will be going to that committee in July. I don't have a date yet, but we will be presenting in July. If you're interested in presenting alongside Dr. Holt, you can reach out to him and let him know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, Gwen. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. You always want to leave.
I know. It's always at the end, you know? It's like, I know people want to go home.
That's okay. To our committee members who are remote, begin with you, Achilles. Any comment, sir?
No, thank you for all that report. It was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila.
Thank you.
Got that mute right in there. Thank you. Mr. Washington.
Thank you for that, Dr. Holt. And thank you. And welcome back. I didn't even know you were gone for 2 months.
I forgot to let you know.
Yeah, I mean, but your presence is always there in the space. I just don't know what to tell you. Committee, I think we're getting ready to head into what we call, excuse the pun, a doo-doo storm. I mean, in terms of the condition that we find ourselves in, at least the black community, in terms of how DEI and all those things have affected us in the ways that they have and in the way that they continue to affect us. And it's going to be quite interesting. A lot of us that own homes, we might find ourselves trying to qualify for some of these AMIs. If the stuff keeps going in the direction that we are. But I would like us to have a little bit of anticipatory anxiety in terms of how we begin to look toward the future and address some of these things, because I think that we should anticipate some further difficulties. So it's just my suggestion in the space.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Ramon.
No questions, just very thankful and grateful.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Gwen.
Welcome.
Claudia.
No questions, but just saying thank you.
Miss Virgie.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn.
Aw, thank you, Miss Virgie.
We are at the end of our meeting, and I'm going to take just 2 minutes to wrap us up. I started with the significance of the work and put it in the context, and John, you kind of hit on how I was going to close out tonight, and I was going to use an analogy about mud. And the significance of what creates mud and how mud impacts lives, and how no one really wants mud in their house or over their shoes and that kind of thing, and connected to the work that's associated with our work, in that we are dealing with some of that stuff that a lot of people don't really want to address. And associated with it is the conditions of our economic reality. I agree with you 100%. And excited about the buy down of the properties and the thoughtfulness to create spaces to assist families. We cannot ignore that the nation we are in isn't the same nation of 4 years ago or 3 years ago, and that our current condition is dire, though it's not being talked about. The economy is not only in a recession, we're in a targeted recession, and many people don't want to acknowledge that or call that out. The invitation to sit with me and or any of us at this reporting moment to talk about 10 years of this work. Phenomenal things have happened. We've been a part of something I think that is generationally impactful, should be celebrated, talked about, shouted from the rooftops. But the need hasn't changed. Now, it's been in the wind, and I won't say where it came from, a request that Dr. Holt be nice to the city when he report this time. Be nice to the city? All I did was tell the truth. All I did was highlight the facts. But we live in a day where people don't want truth, and they don't want the facts. We want something nice and something pretty. We don't want to look at the mud. We got mud. It's the reality of what we have. And some of us need to be courageous enough to call it out and to go to work around it. There are people who don't have the privilege of sitting at a dais and tell their story. There are people who don't have a privilege of somebody standing in the gap for them. There are individuals and families who desperately need someone to be a champion. That's the work we're called to. Now, others may not like it and may not want to hear it, might want us to back away from it, but truth is truth. Not your truth, not my truth, the truth. What we're facing is significant, and the need isn't going away. It's only increasing. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your creativity. Thank you for your partnership. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.